Hello, you come to get your rations? Ready to celebrate tomorrow?
We are.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So have you got your ration books with you?
No.
Oh, let me show you one here. Basically, every adult and child would get their own ration book. Fill your details in on the front, and you have to register with the shop. So you have to register with your butcher, and once you're registered, that's the only butcher that you can use. Same with your grocers and your bakers, etc.
So is that because the government would just send their rations to them shops? Or?
That's right, they would know how much each shopkeeper was going to need. And basically, you got 4 ounces of ham, say, or if you'd rather have it as bacon, you could have 4 ounces of bacon, 2 ounces of ham, 2 ounces of bacon. That was your lot for the week as far as bacon was concerned. Cheese, you only got 1 ounce of cheese a week, so don't eat it all in one sandwich. 1 egg a week.
1 egg.
Plus powdered egg when that was available. We got powdered egg from the USA, but that wasn't always available. What else could you have? I think you could have quite a lot of sugar. You could have 8 ounces of sugar. Flour, 9 ounces, but some of that had to be taken up in your bread. And you couldn't get white bread. That was no longer available during the war. You got what was called the national loaf, which was grey. And basically, instead of refining the flour as much as we do nowadays to get a white loaf, they had to use 80% of it had to be used. And so your loaf was grey. They couldn't sell it on the day it was made. They had to wait till the following day, because then the smell of the bread would have gone away. It wouldn't encourage you to eat it all at once. And it also meant you could slice it easier. You could slice it easier. Now, children got a little bit more generous allowance. They got more milk, they got orange juice when they were little, and they got cod liver oil to make sure that we had healthy children. But surprisingly enough, although this sounds a bit meagre, there were a lot of people who were actually better with this diet, the ration diet, than they had been before. Because a lot of people who'd maybe been unemployed couldn't afford a lot of food before the war. Suddenly there was more employment, they were getting a bit of a wage in, they could afford. Because basically, although you had rations, you still had to pay for everything as well. And this wartime diet was actually very healthy, because it was high in the things that we could produce ourselves. It was high in potatoes, vegetables, and people would dig up their front lawns in town, grow your own, yeah, and hence the dig for victory. And maybe what is less known about in rationing is actually clothing, because clothing was rationed as well, and you had 66 points as an adult to begin with. It actually started going down during the length of the war. So say for a lady's dress, you needed 11 of those 66 points. Ladies, if you needed a new pair of stockings, don't ladder your stockings, 2 points for just 1 pair of stockings. And that's why you hear of people using pencil up the back to make the seam so it looked like they were wearing stockings when they weren't. Gentlemen, a pair of trousers, 11 points.
Oh, good grief.
8 points for a shirt, and you can imagine coats were even more points. So your 66 didn't go very far. But as an adult, I don't think that that's too bad, because let's face it, I've got clothes in my wardrobe that last longer than 6 years nowadays when it's shoddily made. So, you know, back then. But for children that were growing, this is a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
The girl's skirt suddenly becomes, in those days, indecent because it's well above the knee. How times change. What could we do? So ladies, we had the phrase make do and mend came out, and Mrs. So-and-so, we think of Mrs. So-and-so as Mrs. So-and-so down the road, but actually there was a Mrs. So, S-E-W, and so. And the government gave tips, and they actually put on classes so ladies could learn how to sew, how to knit. So the girl's skirt, maybe a bit an old curtain, could go on the bottom to make it a bit longer. Nobody laughed because everybody was in the same boat. Blackout fabric. There was no rationing on blackout fabric, so people would buy it. Not particularly nice for your clothes, but they used to buy it. And you'll have heard probably of people using parachutes for their ladies' underwear and ladies' wedding dresses made of parachutes, because they could get old parachutes for nothing. So children, as I say, it was harder for children because they were going to grow, harder for the mother all the time, because she was having to cook on next to nothing and feed her family. She was having to make their clothes and sort that out. So it was hard work. So as a concession, makeup was never rationed. It became very expensive, but ladies, we could still get our makeup to make us feel good. And the idea was the government wanted to keep morale up. Strange things,
Excellent.
but everybody pulled together for rationing. So celebrate tomorrow.
I'm at work, but we've already ordered our t-shirts for,
Oh,
for
good.
wearing.
Well
it.
done. Yeah. Rationing didn't stop actually with the end of the war. It actually went on until 1954. The last things came off ration in 1954.
Horrendous.
And in fact, after the war finished, potatoes became rationed more, bread became rationed more, until we actually got everything picked back up, and they could take things slowly off ration. So things came off, you know, when they became more available, they would come off ration. Hard times. Hard
Thank you
times.
very much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.